at Longchamp on the Bois de Boulogne in Paris. They jump away and they came out in a pretty good line. The slow starter was Chimes at midnight, beginning fast. Anabar Blue with Sadler's Creek, and Sakhee in a very good position on the outside, broke well. Moving up is Anzalero towards the inside. Golan is also handy up the inner as well, as Sadler's Creek takes them along from Anzalero on the inside. Anabar Blue is third, then Golan and holding court, and Sakhee in about sixth place from Diamalina. They're followed next by Foreign Affairs a bit wide of Aquarelliste, and then Egypt Band with Milan midfield down on the inside. High Tory is wider out. Next is Idaho Quest, and then Little Rock towards the rear. Sagacity, Honor Rafik, and Chimes at midnight is the back marker as they go behind the Petit Bois, having covered a couple of furlongs or more, and making their way towards the furthest point away from the stands here at Longchamp. It's Sadler's Creek from Anzalero. Anabar Blue wide of the light blue jacketed Golan, then Sakhee in the Godolphin Blue out wide under Frankie Dettori. Just seems to be taking a pull there, he's going well. Behind these is on the inside Diamalina of holding court. Foreign Affairs in the yellow jacket hunting them up from Egypt Band, and then Aquarelliste towards the inside as they begin this turn right-handed with just under 7 furlongs left to cover now, and they run back towards home, a long run towards home. Anzalero, Sadler's Creek, Anabar Blue, the French Derby winner, in third. Sakhee is 4, followed by Golan in 5th place. Then Foreign Affairs towards the outside of holding court in the grey Diamalina. High Tory is wide of Egypt Band. Next is Idaho Quest, and then Aquarelliste. Towards the inside, Milan with work to do. Little Rock just in front of him, and then a gap back to Sagacity, and Honor Rafik and Chimes at midnight is struggling in the rear. They're running on the approach to home now. They've got about 3 furlongs still to cover, and up front is Anzalero, but here's Sakhee in a beautiful position under Frankie Dettori. Sakhee coming there cantering. Further out is Foreign Affairs, then Golan on their heels in 4th place as they straighten up with 2.5 furlongs left to go, and Frankie says go on Sakhee, as Sakhee clears away from Golan in 2nd place. Foreign Affairs is 3rd, then High Tory, and they're all chasing Sakhee's shadow now with 1.5 furlongs left to go. It's Sakhee 4-5 lengths clear of Golan. Aquarelliste comes out of the pack, then High Tory and Sagacity out wide, but entering the final furlong, Sakhee has a huge lead and is running right away, and Sakhee is superb! A brilliant win in the arc. Sakhee the winner, Aquarelliste in 2nd, close for 3rd, Sagacity on the near side of Golan, then Milan and Never Near a 5th, followed by Little Rock, and then High Tory, a gap to Egypt Band. They were followed back by Anabar Blue and Foreign Affairs and Diamalina. Honor Rafik, well beaten, holding court with Idaho Quest and Anzalero, and then Sadler's Creek, and practically pulled up was Chimes at midnight. They said that Sakhee had been working the gallops down on Newmarket Heath. There were doubts about him getting the trip in testing going here, but he was always in a fantastic position, travelling supremely well for Frankie Dettori, who will remember this Arc weekend for many years to come. He won the Arc back in 1995 on Lamtara. Lamtara was an impressive win, but I don't think he was anywhere near as brilliant as Sakhee was today. Sakhee, who trotted up in the Judd Monty International at York back in August, a horse that had surgery on his knees during the closed season. Of course, he chased home last year's Arc winner Sindar in the Epsom Derby in the year 2000. Well, he's had his day today. Took it up early in the home straight, then his stamina was going to be tested in the searching conditions here on the Bois de Boulogne, but he stayed on relentlessly all the way to the line, and it was just a question of who would finish in the minor placings. Sakhee unbeaten in 3 starts so far this season. It's been a season remarkable for the exploits of the Aidan O'Brien team. Godolphin have been put into the shade, but not here this afternoon. Sakhee wins the Arc.
He travelled like the wrath of God. When Frankie asked him to pick up he did. He left a high-class Arc field toiling in his wake. He was sensational at York. He's been arguably even better here today. Godolphin's season redeemed triumphantly by Sakhee, the outstanding middle-distance colt in Europe. Frankie absolutely exultant, and rightly so. They've said this horse was working the house down at home. They weren't worried about him getting the trip. The ground wasn't a problem. He has annihilated his arc field. He is the real thing. And in the year that they lost Dubai Millennium, those blue colours are triumphant at the end of the European racing season. And you can tell this man, he's going to milk the crowd. He'll let them know who's done it. What a weekend it's been for Frankie. 3 yesterday, in flying form today. Jim, you did a top 10 of ARC winners. This bloke had been knocking on the door in that, surely.
Well, you'd be hard-pressed to leave him out. I mean, it was Sakhee slaughter. It wasn't just that he ran away from them in the straight, it was the way he travelled. He was always, as the jockeys say, tomming, slang for Tom cruising. And when he asked him to pick up in the straight, you've seen in races early today, not every horse has picked up and purchased. Gentlemen, you must have been impressed.
Well, there's a double handful of Group 1 winners in here, and he's absolutely annihilated them. And what a way to ride your 100th Group 1 winner.
Frankie Dettori and Sakhee are coming back now. I'm actually walking onto the track, and I'd love to get the initial reaction from the man who's just ridden his 100th Group 1 win, and he's done it in the best possible way. Frankie, what was that like?
Top for the world! Top for the world! We let plenty of Sakhee tonight anyway. Top for the world! What is this?
Frankie.
There'll be plenty of Sakhee, plenty of champagne as well, I'd imagine. And he rides Ascot well, but he rides this course here at Longchamp equally as competently. Always in the right place. And Walter, I know it's easy if you've got the right horse underneath you, but even so, you've still got to just judge it to perfection.
Of course you have, and from the 15th off, he jumped out, and he got him over in a beautiful position, and the more you kind of looked at him, and he just seemed the stronger he was getting throughout the race. And he's come into the straight, and he's taken a pull, and it was a marvellous performance. Stunning.
It'd be fascinating to dissect this and talk over with Sheikh Mohammed and Simon Christopher and Frankie. John mentioned, Alistair mentioned Dubai Millennium, and the other good horses they run here, Dailami, who disappointed. They've obviously had others this year as well, but the way this horse won, he's as good as anything Godolphin have had.
And the Brits are ecstatic. If you could break the Pari Mutuel, they would have done it. The last show was 2.2 to 1. Frankie Dettori returning here, and it's the British cheers. They're echoing right round the stands here behind me. Terrific applause. 2.2 to 1 was the last show. The 7th time in the last 8 years the favourites won the ARC. Frankie Dettori, you're a hero, Frankie! You're a hero! What a great man he is! The 31st time the ARC's been won by the favourite, and Sakhee gives Britain its 10th win in the ARC, and all round here, punters have backed Sakhee down to 2.2 to 1. It was Barry Dennis's Bismarck. He's got skint as well, and he's cheering!
Remember, this horse was never actually an intended runner in the ARC until about 10 days ago. His target was the Champion Stakes, but he's champion of France instead, and he will get the monster of all receptions when he turns right in approximately 5 seconds.
d'un fils de Barry, d'une poulinière qui s'appelle Kawaki, un fils de Saint-Oswell.
Well, a wonderful performance and a huge compliment to last year's winner, Sindar. No doubt that this fella's improved, but just a wonderful performance. Sometimes you come to these races and there'll be half a dozen finish in a heap and you think, well, yeah, they're good horses, but this was definitely something special.
And a week ago, of course, it was